And once again, it is Friday night. The zombies are on screen. The crickets are out behind Delete. And it is that time where we discuss State of Survival. Now, as it says in that sign right over there, I am Finity with Reality Skew Gamers. I am, in fact, not the MCVenom that you've come and loved. Nope, nope. I am the brown boy that's filling in because she is currently on vacation, but she does have a message for everybody out there before we introduce our panel.
Hello, survivors. I'm T MCVenom with Reality Skew Gamers, coming to you from Sevierville, Tennessee. We're on vacation right now. We just got back into the hotel room from a full day at Dollywood. It was a lot of fun, but I am drenched with sweat. It's so hot and humid here. Skin's a wreck from the mask we had to wear all day, but there was no lines. We had tons of fun riding the roller coasters. And I just hope that you guys have a great stream tonight for State of Survival Friday night with RSG Finity, Delete, Daedric, and any other guests that we have on. Just don't let him wreck the stream. Don't let him wreck the stream with his 69s and his cheese platters and his trees all over the place. Just watch him. You guys have a great stream. Miss you, and I'll see you next Friday.
That's right. She doesn't want the stream ruined with the 69. So nobody use the 69 emojis in the chat, okay? Nobody touch them. I know you have them. Do not touch them, okay? Just ignore the one that's over here. Nobody use it because she does not want us to use it. I'm just throwing that. All right, so let's introduce our panel. They are the ones that you've come to love. They are, first off, on the top, it is Delete, the man with the crickets.
What's going on, everybody?
I've gotten used to your crickets now. I love it. It's a very peaceful sound during this.
Very soothing. Very soothing.
And then, just below him, the man with the cats. It is the number one killer himself. It is Daedric. How are you, Daedric?
Oh, just peachy.
All right. So we have a lot of fun stuff here to discuss with you guys because here's a fun thing. The last time that you guys, I think, saw my account on screen was in episode, what was it, 11 or something? And it was me starting out the game for the first time. Since then, I am now in state 359 with Delete, with MCVenom, and a bunch of people that are in the chat. So shout out to all of the RSG people that have joined us in state 359. And we have a message going across the screen, by the way, that says, "Day Bay, can we see a kitty?" Because we have RSG people in 359, so state chat's going to have no idea what the hell is going on, but that announcement banner is going on in chat. I'm just throwing that out there, Daedric. But we're in 359, and I just hit, for this new event, over 20 million BP. So I have come a long way since the last time my account was on screen. But, true to form, the trees are still here. The trees are not going to go away. The trees will remain. But, here's the nice part. While I am still nubbish compared to these guys, I can at least contribute a little bit to the discussion that we're going to have because I've started to understand a little bit more about the game. And I'm going to start off with Daedric because we have some things that we want to discuss with you guys. And it's going to be those that will help you for all the different things that are in the game. Now, one of the things that I've realized, and I've asked a bunch of people questions repeatedly that are in 359. Yes, I know he hasn't gone to get the kitty yet. He will. We have to have the serious discussion first. That way MCVenom, because she might be watching at the beginning of this, right? So my hope is she's watching at the beginning of this. We will be very serious at the beginning of this. And then towards the end, she's going to get tired because she was in Dollywood, and then she's not going to pay attention. And then we can do whatever the hell we want. So everyone just hold on for a little while, and then we will start goofing off. But we have, first off, a discussion about talents. Now, the talents a lot of you guys are already familiar with, but since we have some people in the RSG community I know that started to play, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit. When you go to your chief profile and you go down to here, you go to your talent screen, and there's two different trees that you can go through. There's the war tree and the economy tree. Now, they both have their own different purposes, and there's different game modes that maybe require you to have one or the other. So, Daedric, I'll start with you if you want to talk a little bit about just kind of a summary of the trees so people understand what the war tree is, what the economy is, and what their kind of pluses and minuses are.
Yeah, so, the benefit, just first off, VIP 12, and not very many people will get there without spending. But VIP 12 actually offers you the ability to switch between two sets of talents. So I believe we actually have some viewers right now in the chat who have VIP 12. But VIP 12, thanks for bringing that up, it will give you the ability, without having to use talent resets, you can switch between two different presets. So you can dedicate all of your talents to eco and dedicate all of your talents to war, and then just switch between the two. Now, going into depth into more specifics, economy specifically is really great if you're a farmer and are really just that resource buff. But some economy talents actually offer some benefits to your hospital. So players who are PvP players, you'll actually get a hospital boost. There's an instant healing. There's also a construction buff. There's a research buff. So there's pieces in the economy tree that are not actually directly related to farming. So it's very, very important that if you're a player who's trying to grow quickly, that you're using things like the research talents and the construction speed up talents to enhance how quickly you're moving along. So for example, Finity, if you wanted to upgrade your next HQ level or building, I'm sure you've seen, there's a buff speed up in construction, and it's a 24-hour cooldown. It actually gives you, for research, it reduces the amount of time for research and construction within a 5-minute period. And so that's really, really beneficial if you saved a whole bunch of speed ups. In addition, the screen that Finity is going into right now, if you go onto your HQ and select settlement buffs, this is a separate menu. So this menu here that he's on is not related to the tree. This is a completely separate buff menu. And you'll notice that there's different tabs. There's one related to war, another related to development. So for development, you have things like troop training capacity, gathering enhancements, construction, research, and general production in your headquarters. So if you combine this menu that he's in right now, these buffs will actually stack with the tree, which is largely beneficial. So for an example, there's a research one in there. If you were to select that research and choose one of those buffs, that will stack with the talents that you put into your tree. In addition, if the governor has given you a governor title or has activated the state buff, that buff will also stack. So the cool part about it that not many people know or understand is that all these buffs stack. You're not just using one. Whatever is active will stack. It's just like your skins. If you have 10 skins activated, all the buffs for those skins stack on top of one another. So this is a huge help for people trying to grow. It will prevent you actually spending more money than you need to, more resources than you need to, and will really reduce the time taken to increase your strength. In the talent tree, when we're looking at war, the war talent tree specifically has increases in speed ups for troop training, but really focuses on the attack, defense, health, and lethality of your troops. But I'll wait a little bit until we go into attack, health, defense, and lethality.
Okay. And then delete. You've been joining me on 359, so you've kind of started anew in the new state. You've also then done the long time still active 125. That's your main still. So from what you've seen now, and I know you've tried to minimize spending on 359 and 125 is still your main, Daedric went through kind of all the different settlement buffs and all the different talents, right? How would you navigate different people into different of the talents and different buffs to utilize, whether based on spending level, their familiarity with the game, how would you advise somebody to use the talents and even the buffs to some extent?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, if you use the buffs correctly, like if you like and just kind of playing with Finn is awesome at setting like timers, and saying when things are going to end. So this way you can kind of go ahead and just get an alert in game to kind of go ahead and start your cycle again. Like before you start a big upgrade, or if you're trying to train like a bunch of troops, or the resource gathering event is up, you have to take advantage of the buffs that the game gives you. If you go ahead and hit before you start a new upgrade or a new research or a new long anything, and you go ahead and trigger the buff, especially in the new states, because we were just actually talking about that too, where caps are kind of given away a little bit more willy-nilly, to go ahead and drop an old school phrase that my dad loves. You can go ahead and really just go ahead and right before you trigger your HQ, you can go ahead and put the construction buff on. Or you can, right before you're going up against like a 4-day, like research for either talent, whether it's your hospital or, an economic, or if it's a war talent, you can go ahead and trigger that on top of rapid development. So it'll stack twice. You can go ahead and use both triggers to really minimize the time and maximize how fast you can actually grow your account in the beginning tremendously. Using those and utilizing those to kind of get together faster, you will go ahead and approach and basically max out your base so much faster if you use everything correctly. And it does take your due diligence. You have to be on top of it. There are things that are going to make more sense. Some people don't necessarily line everything up and are just like, what, I'm just going to speed through it anyway. And you really, if you play it correctly, the game will actually help you progress much, much faster by itself. So utilizing the buffs before and planning everything out before you do it is a strategy that you should take if you're trying to minimize your spend by far.
Okay. And before we do this, because what I want to do is we're going to have different topics, right? So I'm going to try and collect the questions for each of the different parts so we can get those kind of when we're talking about it, because I know we're jumping through a few different topics here. But what I want to do first, before I do questions, let me shout out everybody in chat, because there's been a lot of people here since the beginning. So get your questions in. Make sure you start it with the word question so our bot picks it up, and then I will start asking some of those questions. But shout out to all of the people that are here right now in chat. So if you guys haven't already, throw your name, throw something in the chat. Don't use the 69 emoji. It's going to anger MCVenom. That's the only thing you can't use, okay? Do not use the 69 emoji. All right, so we have Nathan H, we have DPK, we have Colossus, we have M, we have Mimi Ace, we have Furry, we have Yuta here, we have, who else? We have Ruzi. Hi, Ruzi. I hope I'm saying that right, and it's not Ruz, because it's R-U-U-Z, capital Z, so I'm saying Ruzi, but I don't know if it's supposed to be Ruz, because either way, you tell me whether you want it to be Ruzi or Ruz. Let's see, we have, who else here? We have Munchie here, hi Munchie, and let me see, we have Contingent 33, we have Jeremy123, hi Jeremy123, we have, who else? We have Durgan here. Hi, the Durgan. And who else? We have Bean here. Bean is always here. Always glad to have you here, Bean. And let me see. Am I missing anyone? Does anyone else not say anything? I don't think anyone else has said anything. Mimi Ace put in the emoji that is not 69. So just for you, since you used it, we will dab on screen for you because you did the dabbing gingerbread man. All right, so let's go ahead and do the questions that came up as a result of this. And by the way, Daedric, I don't know if you've been watching, but the banners, M is spending a lot to try and get those announcements because she really wants to see Blackbeard. I'm just throwing that out there. M really wants to see Blackbeard. Just letting you know. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring up the questions here. And for the questions, first off, we have Uh, Durgan. McVenom is hardly ever on, and now she ditches the stream. Does she not like us in 359 anymore? Delete.
Oh, Durgan. Durgan.
That's the correct answer. Just Durgan. All right. Next question. Okay, so I saw this one. This one's an interesting one. So I'll start with delete on this one. Contingent 33. I have been doing just the recommended upgrade. Should I not do that to get through the basics? So for those of you that aren't familiar, let me just show it on screen and then I'll let you go here. When you go into research, and I can't do it right now because I have 2 buildings under construction, but if you click on a building, it'll automatically take you to one that it recommends you to do. But also if you go to research down here, because I'm actually, of course, I have something doing, but there's usually 2 things that are, yeah, of course, I have all my timers going at all times pretty much. So yeah. But there's normally 2 researches that are listed here that are your recommended to do. And what I've noticed anyways is that usually they're not in development. And maybe it's because I push development first before I go into the other trees, but it almost always is a battle and an economic one, usually.
Yeah, that's it.
So
development is almost, I don't think, I've never seen development recommended to me.
Okay.
And that's just to kind of get back to the question, it's a very easy thing to do, to just go ahead and just click one of those buttons. But if you go to development, there are pieces in there that will actually quicken your research and your construction. So you should actually go through development kind of not necessarily first, but you should keep tabs on it. Depending on the player that you want to be, you basically have to kind of craft out and take a look at all of the different trees to see which one and what player you want to model yourself after. If you just want to kind of grow resources, if you are like building a farm in your own state, then you should just plow through economic, and just kind of go ahead and increase your gathering speed and you basically how much you harvest inside your settlement. But if you're looking to be like a PvP player, then you should be in development and battle. So this way you can go ahead and make sure that you can either, train a lot of troops, your training times are down, and then your development, your research is on point, because usually the recommended will not necessarily be the strongest for you prosperity wise, and the prosperity, like battle power kind of, like tail or like kind of like way to look at which one should I do next is kind of helpful. But you should also kind of get better at reading your stats. If you are heavy in basically one category, if all your chief gear is structured towards infantry, you can go ahead and supplement your basically your research to kind of build up everyone else. So this way they're not too far behind and you're not too far stacked, because at least we'll get to that later, but the old battle mechanics used to be the game will find the one weakness in your march and will exploit that weakness against someone else's to either punish you or progress the battle in your favor. So you really kind of need to look at what you're planning out, and just kind of make your stats as strong as possible. Or if you have, like a recon report, or even if you are battling another alliance constantly or consistently, take a look at the person you're going against stats and try to meet them with your research is probably another good way to kind of look at what to do next. Is the lethality there? Is the attack there? Is the defense there? Is the health there? Where are you lacking? Map out your report to kind of help you out to kind of fill the gaps. So it's very easy to just go and not read through, but you should take the time to go ahead and kind of go into things and go into development and say, well, I plan on banging out a lot of research today. Today's research day in an event. Let me go ahead and build up all my development to make sure that my research happens as fast as possible so I can progress as fast as possible. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but it's a very in-depth question. And don't get me wrong, if you just push the recommended, you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. Keeping your research going at all times is awesome. So, it's never going to hurt you to go ahead and be doing some kind of research, because eventually you're going to have it all. So it all depends on what you do first. Will progress you that much faster.
And I'll bring up a couple of other things too here. The first thing is, and Delete mentioned it, I am really very much high on timers, right? So sometimes, even though the recommended may be better for me, it's only maybe like a 3 or 4 hour thing, but I'm not going to start that at 11 o'clock at night because it's going to end at 4. And by the time I wake up, I've wasted like 3 hours. So I will search for ones that have the longer time, and I know I'm going to be awake when it's done, so I can start that 3 or 4 hour one and do a longer one overnight. So sometimes it's not necessarily about the best one, it's about making sure that you're the most efficient in your overall time, so you have the least downtimes, because all of these buildings have something that are constantly going. The research building, and then your builders need to always be going. If they have downtime, you're just wasting that time. That is time that they could be doing something to improve. So that is one thing. The other thing too, I'll mention, is, I don't know if I have any here, but the research missions, right? The ones that actually reduce your timers. Those things also become pretty important too to sometimes figure out, because you might have something that's recommended. I've had these before, but they have the little notepad, but none of the speed upgrades are there. And what that means is that you have in your missions, eventually, I can't remember, do you remember when these show up? I know they weren't there at the beginning. They showed up at a later HQ. I can't remember what level it was.
I don't remember what level, but it's not there from the beginning. The research tab, not there from the beginning.
Right.
And unfortunately, they don't, there's like no button to go ahead and spend caps to refresh them, because, like, I can't upgrade a hero skill right now at all, and I still get hero skills to go ahead and, like, so it does refresh. I think it is every 2 days, so we just hit in your case. But yeah, like, doing these will save a lot of time, and like running through this as part of your dailies should be like, literally should be like, just as you do intel, this should be doing it. I mean, it's tough to kind of go ahead and just get plunders. That's why a lot of people do have farms, so they can either hit themselves, or, in state 125, we have a lot of dead bases. So I'll just kind of plunder from like a dead base just to get that task out of the way, because, at the state of the game that I'm at now, when I'm in my war talents, there are options that are 59 days. And then I'll switch to my eco talents, and that becomes like 38 days. And then when I'm about to do it, I'll do rapid development and the research buff on top of it, and I'll get that down to, I believe I turned 59 days into 18. So it's a huge difference of and just kind of getting through that when you do it the correct way.
Yeah. So, and Delete's right. This was a complicated question, right? The recommended just, it gives you something, right? If you don't know what to do, it's a simple thing to press and just kind of keep on going. But if you're really trying to optimize, there's a lot of different things that go into research that are like multiple components. So it is good to at least understand it. You can decide however you want to progress, but there is a lot of things to kind of consider with that. We did get 2 super chats during there. So we got Bean, first off, saying digging the new screen format. Well, thank you, Bean. This is one of my like normal ones. Just so you know, we have one special for MCVenom that I am working on, and I'm hoping to get it done this weekend, mainly on Sunday. It is, she mentioned this to you guys before, it is the new bunker, right? The stream is getting the title of the bunker. We're working on a new layout for that. So hopefully by Friday, and that's pretty much on me to get it done, by Friday, we are hopefully going to have that ready, and that one should be even cooler than this. This is just my regular kind of layout here. That's because I'm streaming instead of MCVenom, so that's that's the reason. And then Ranger with $5 said you missed half the names. I did not miss half the names. I do not miss half the names. I think you weren't looking at. I called out everybody. If there's anybody I missed, except Ranger who came in at the end, if there's anyone I missed, go ahead and shout something out. I see Lord Zizu just messaged something too. So welcome, Lord Zizu. But I think I got everyone that's in the chat. So Okay, so next question is to Daedric. So Daedric, question from Ruzi, and the question is, do buffs actually affect your trap damage? I've tried this multiple times now, and I don't really do more damage.
Wow.
Yes. So I have tried switching up the talent tree for trap to see if there's a difference in damage, and there is. When you do trap, your buffs have to be focused on attack and lethality specifically. And the tough thing with that in the tree is you'll notice in the war tree, you can't go to the next tier until you've maxed out a talent. So for example, in the tree right here, you can't progress to the next stem unless you've maxed out that skill. And the issue with attack and lethality is they're on two different stems. So you're actually stumping your growth in the tree because you're having to go back and do both attack and lethality. So health and lethality are on the bottom, attack and defense are on the top. So generally what I've done, because I've got max chief level, so I've got 279 talents, no, 259? I think 259 or somewhere around there. I go right to the end of the tree. So the percentages are actually larger at the very end of the tree. You get a 24% increase on the talents at the end of the tree versus 6% and 10% at the beginning. They're much, much larger the higher the chief level you get. So what I'll do is I'll stem the growth all the way to the end, and then I'll max out the attack and lethality at the very end because those actually give the largest percentages. But it does affect trap damage. So for example, my rally leader is Zoe, who's the hunter. And so I put a focus on hunter attack and hunter lethality, and that increases the damage output for trap. In addition to that, you can also activate war buffs. So in the settlement buff menu that Finity was in, which is a separate menu as we mentioned, you can activate war buffs on top, and those will stack with your talent tree. And again, those will provide more damage output. And while we're on that topic, as a matter of fact, when we're talking about stacking buffs, when you do the event Alliance Showdown, where you're in a lane, your buffs will actually stack into that event. So when you send a march into Alliance Showdown, it will actually save your preset. So even if your buffs are deactivated 12 hours later, it'll still save that march that you had initially sent in. So you still get the benefit of all the buffs even going into that event. So it's just very important to know, that if you're taking advantage of your talent tree and your war buffs in your backpack, that you're applying those to other events as well. Water Raid, Capital Clash, State Warfare, Alliance Showdown. You can use buffs for every PvP event that the game has, and very, very important to know the difference. Health and lethality are for PvP. Plain and simple. There's been a huge discussion on, what do I use if I'm going to rally a player or attack a player? If you have players that are very close together in stats, the health and lethality will always beat attack and defense. And we've seen it in Capital Clash, right? When people take towers, when people take the Capitol building, that's probably the best place that we see, stats competing with one another. Health and lethality will almost always take down somebody who has a higher attack and defense than you, because in the algorithm, when the game does its thing, that especially with infantry, because infantry is your damage soaker, infantry is all about defense. Infantry is all about health. And so, when you're stacked up on that PvP end, and your infantry stats are really good, you can definitely turn the tide of a battle just by resetting talents. So very, very important that you read into that.
So that brings up a question, because I know we experimented with it, and I think we know the answer, and I'm wondering what the impact is. is that a lot of the buffs that you get while you're in a rally of a trap or any rally is set by the rally leader, right? So your stats don't necessarily affect as much as the rally leader, right? So if you're not the rally leader, do you still see that impact, or is this if you are the rally leader, so you're increasing the damage of everybody else?
Yeah, so that's a fair question. The difference for people joining your rally is the heroes they're using. So because you're the rally leader, your stats are the stats that are applied. What affects the damage output of the players joining your rally are the heroes that they're using, and the order in which they use them. And and the troop composition, because that's a big one too, right? If I have a 1 million size rally and people are sending infantry and more riders than hunters, because the hunters should be your primary damage output just based on stats alone, you're going to see a huge degradation of damage impact. Whereas if your rally joiners are all using, the proper a trap hero, I'm just going to use Sarge and Eva because they're the ones we've talked about for months and months. People are using those as the primary hero, and their marches consist of rider-hunter mix or hunters. Their damage will significantly increase. I've had cases where my rally damage has been significantly lower because of the joiners. So my formation is identical. I'm using the same heroes, same buffs, same march size, but the people joining my rally have actually affected not just my individual damage output, but my rally total damage output. So it's up to the people joining that will actually affect the total output. Honestly, the rally leader's job is actually the simplest one. To be honest with you, it is. As a rally leader, you have the easiest job on the planet. The only issue, I guess, that we've experienced is rally leaders tend to take a hit on rewards. We don't always get as much rewards as the people joining. But since they've updated trap, I've actually been number 1 or number 2 in trap damage. They've actually changed the mechanics where the rally leader is actually now getting more damage output, and they should have been to begin with. So that has something that has been changed over the past couple of weeks as they've updated trap. And now, so rally leaders are actually reaping more of the benefit for taking the sacrifice of running the rally.
Very nice. Okay. And I'll ask maybe a follow-up here to Delete, because Furry is bringing it up in chat. She's saying you should tell people why the lead hero is important for joiners. So if you want to comment on the both for the setter and the joiners.
So basically, the rally setter has the skills for all 3 heroes will basically carry down. And then the captain of the rally joiners will basically only take the captain of the joiner. So you need to go ahead and say, it'll take the best Sarge. If everyone puts Sarge in, it doesn't go ahead and say, all right, the next 7 people, it's added 25% of Sarges. You need a Sarge, an Eva. People even, I've seen people put Nicola in there. I've seen people go ahead and put a Jeb in there. And their first stat of their first skill will basically carry over to everyone in the rally. So you need to kind of, when you're joining a rally and you see someone have a hero as their captain first, you should go ahead and just kind of separate that out. So this way you don't have overlapping heroes. You should have different heroes there to kind of go ahead and make sure that you're maximizing the benefits of all the skills of every hero that's taking into effect. Because that's a huge part of the game that, that people just kind of, they see a rally and they just push a button, and you really kind of, there's more of a science to it where you need to kind of go ahead and vary your first hero, as a rally joiner. It's a responsibility in that regard to make sure that you maximize the output damage that you're going against, in not just in trap, but in capital or anything along those lines. Mapping that out is probably the next thing that we're probably going to do in 125 to try and go ahead and say, all right, you should concentrate on ranking up this hero. So this way it could be the captain of you can have this as your captain, and it'll go ahead and benefit the person that doesn't have that hero as high up as you do. So this will be your rally joiner, hero. And then we can kind of go ahead and cascade from there to really maximize the damage output, because it makes a difference for sure.
Does that mean that, and again, so from when I started, the thing was you want to use kind of one of those infected, and you'll hear these terms, so bear with me because this is the way I call them. You'll hear one of those infected shooty heroes like Sarge or Eva as the rally leaders, right? But does that mean that you might want somebody like a Maddie or a different stabby hero, so you get that hunter bonus? So if people are doing the split between the riders and the hunters, then you have that bonus from people cascading, and it's not always just putting in Sarge. You'll need somebody with a Sarge, somebody with a Maddie, somebody with an Ava, somebody with you're probably not using him, but I'll just throw in Travis because he is a stabby hero. So, but is that what you're looking for then in terms of the breakdown?
Yeah, variance, because what will happen is it'll take the strongest Sarge, and then every other Sarge will be wiped away. Okay. So if everyone rallies joining with Sarge, then it just doesn't work out. You don't get the added bonus for all the Sarges. You only get it from the strongest Sarge in the rally.
Okay. So there you go. There's some tips for trap. And then next question here. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Oh, sorry, were you saying something else, Delete?
Oh yeah, no, this is this is a big, learning experience for a lot of people that are probably in the audience, because a lot of this information is misinformation in a lot of places. There are a lot of websites out there that aren't really great in explaining this. Probably, rightfully so. I mean, if you're winning your capital, and you've got the secret formula that no one else has figured it out, this is probably why it's happening. Because a lot of people just aren't joining with the correct setup and don't know why, because especially when I open, in 125, when I open a rally, people are just, jumping over each other to kind of go ahead and join. And with the new system, not everyone has it set up. They just want to join the rally just to go ahead and get a spot, is supposed to kind of like joining the rally correctly. So then a lot of it becomes like, I've got to boot you because you didn't set the right formation of troops, that we want, or you didn't use the right heroes, or your captain's, mistaken. And that 5 minutes for that rally ends up going super quick, because the next thing you know, you're booting someone and then they've got to race back and someone has taken their spot. And then they, things bounce back. And then next thing you know, you're like, I've got to either disband or try this out, or just kind of, waste valuable time on a timer, for like a bunker or facility or for something like that. It gets tedious, if everyone doesn't go in having a plan and a full understanding of what they're doing when they're doing things.
Yep. And at least coming from a newer player that's now, and I know it's a lot different from what you guys have said with the number of rallies that are going on and number of rally leaders and the way that it's being done. So I understand it's a lot different between what we're doing, which is, I think we just did a 14 versus where you guys are right now with the 30. The one thing I've noticed anyways is basically, and we're still, when it's lower, I know it's easier. So you take it a little bit easier and you have to kind of ease your way up. But right now it's basically like, make sure you have your formation ready of whatever troop size, 25K, 40K, whatever it is, and then be on. And then 2 people set their rally and everyone just joins. And even getting people to join into 2 different rallies for the first time was a hassle. But then to also think about potentially trying to figure out who has the highest hero to put in there, so they set their formation with that one. But then you also deal with schedules, and you have people that may or may not be able to show up, because I know with us, we have Europeans, we have people in East Asia, and it's just like everywhere. So it's hard I can see how the difficulty is with Trap to try and actually coordinate this many people to do those kind of activities. Like, it's not just joining the rally, splitting up. It's now making sure that you're maximizing your damage and you have whatever boosts are needed, and you're also picking the right hero. It can get pretty complicated. So yeah, that's a lot to do right now. So
infantry, because chances are it'll work out. But to beat a level 30 or to beat a higher level, I mean, we're so far away from beating level 30, it's ridiculous. But but like getting it to the point where, when the trap is later, it really does become a science in breaking it down. you know, and really maximizing your output, you know, to kind of beat something that you probably shouldn't have beaten. But if you plan it the right way, you can beat it, you know? So things to note if you're trying to get to that next level and you can't, you know, take a deeper dive into what's going on, you know, whether it's, you know, okay, I'm in this rally setter every time, and these are who joins because these are the heroes that we've got, you know, lined up. And then, you know, everyone kind of just joins that rally, you know, the same rally keeps hitting at the same time, and you go from there. You know, doing it that way is pretty strong, you know. But as Daedric was mentioning earlier, you know, as a rally setter, you can only join one rally. When you are a rally joiner, as soon as it hits, you can join another rally. And as the multiple rallies are firing, you know, a rally joiner can hop into multiple, you know, and that's their way to kind of leapfrog into the higher, you know, basically rankings for Trap to get those much needed, you know, hero gear parts, you know, which are just some of the tougher things to kind of get. You know, Chief gear I'm maxed out on, but hero gear is, you know, that's a different animal. It's 44,000 pieces at the level I'm at, and 44,000 pieces at level 30. I think in first place I get 1,650, you know, so that's a lot of traps to do to get to the point to make one piece, and you need 9, you know, to max out, not to mention the level of all the, you know, basically resources you need to get there. It's a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Next question here, Daedric, I'll send this one to you. Question is from Deadpool Kyle. Now, I can tell you in 359, this question comes up a lot. So I'm going to ask you the question, but I'm also going to do Daedric, is I'm going to tell you what my strategy seemed to be best as a newbie, and you tell me whether or not it makes sense and how you would change it, okay? So, the question is, for newbies, do you think it's more efficient to train max troops or upgrade until all your troops are max level? Now, what I have found as what I thought was like the best way to do it was when starting out, the biggest limitation was that I was not able to fill up an entire march. So my thing was I was just training the maximum troops. I was not upgrading until I hit the blue tier, so to be the 5 and 6 tier of troops. And when I hit 5 and 6, I then started to bring up the gray. So I would always leave like the 2 top colors, basically. I know most of you guys say to leave the top 2 tiers, so it would just be 5 and 6. But I found that my March numbers were quite low, and I wasn't able to fill up even 1 at the beginning. Now I'm trying to fill up a second full March. But I was going, I just collected grays and greens, and when I hit the blues, then I started upgrading the grays to the blues, and then I think Daedric can still hear me. the grays to the blues, and then I've been starting to upgrade more now until I got rid of all my grays, and when I was still on blues, I started creating max blues. I didn't upgrade the greens, and now that I've hit the purple tiers, I started to upgrade the purples. And I found that that's going to keep my March numbers at least higher and improving, because otherwise I was just not able to get enough marches. Even my gathers were slow, like the troop loads were low. So that was my strategy. And yes, Daedric has the kitten. So hold on.
Look, he's got a shirt.
Yes, he does. Okay, hold on. I have to make this bigger now for everyone before they yell at me. So hold on. Let me do this here and see if I can get this to work.
He's got a little pom-pom on his shirt.
Okay, let me see if I can get this to work here, people. Let me get Daedric bigger here so you guys can see him. There you go. There is there is the Daedric.
Right. He's all.
There you go. You guys wanted the kitten. There was the kitten. There you go.
I would say that it makes that makes sense. You know, getting to enough troops to kind of basically be able to, you know, get to your full march, do it any way possible, you know, so this way, because especially in the beginning, you have so many upgrades to get from T6 to T7, T8, T9, T10, so on and so forth. As soon as you get to a full march, as long as you don't go ahead and just decide to go PvP crazy and go ahead and attack someone, because all those gray troops will go away really fast.
Yeah.
But I remember early on, I feel like it was like episode 3, you know, I had asked if the time differential, if you saved anything by going ahead and just training a boatload of T1s and then upgrading them to T10. You know, the game has figured out that the time to do it is basically the same. So you don't necessarily save in time doing it that way, but you do get your numbers up that much faster.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think, Daedric? Is that the right strategy, or would you go about it a different way? Because I'm imagining it's different for a lower level versus a higher level, and there's probably a transition point where it's just like upgrading until you're maxed out and then you build. So what would your strategy be?
You know, it's a fair question because I think it's based on how you play. If you're, if you're a gatherer and you're just a support player with really no focus on PvP, it doesn't matter. Like you could upgrade, not upgrade, doesn't matter. If we're looking at PvP specifically, or you're that intermediate player to competitive level, I think your strategy is really good. Is once you hit that blue. In most cases, I'd recommend, waiting until the purple tier. Reason being is because, once you hit that epic tier, that's when things are getting more competitive for you. Like once you're at that level or your state's at that level, to Delete's point, the game has figured out that there is no added benefit to upgrade. Like there's no reduction in time by upgrading. You actually have the identical amount of time it would take if you were just to train that higher tier of troop. So I think it's important that you build your army, that you have a sufficient amount of numbers to do what you want to do, and then upgrade them once you hit a competitive level. So for me, I had millions of epic tiered troops, and I upgraded them to legendary, so T9 and 10. And all I train now is T9 and 10. I'm at about, I think, 3.8 million troops now, and I have 1 million of each T10, and I've got 250,000 of each T9. So, the T9 purpose, just to go back to the audience here who's wondering, why T9 and T10, you'll notice that there's two different troop types. Actually, Finn, if you don't mind going to the building, the troop building, if you look at a T9 and a T10, and this goes for all three troops, so Hunter, Rider, and Infantry. Infantry has a shotgun and a shield. Hunter has a bow and a sniper. And Riders have a motorcycle and an ATV. Now, there is a difference between each type. So for infantry, as an example, the shotgun has a bonus to a different troop type than the shield. So the reason I have T9s in my base, I don't actually use the T9s for PvP. I use the T9s for defense. So if I were to ever get attacked, those T9s will actually provide a bonus to the troop type that it goes up against. And so T9s work as a really great base defense, and the T10s are the actual PvP rally, soloing, things of that nature. So I highly suggest that as a player, if you're competitive or you're always at risk of being attacked, and this can go for T6 and T7 and T8, so it doesn't have to be T9 and T10. Let's just refer to whatever level you are, that you have both types. So Finn, in your case, whatever level you're at, you want to ensure that you have the shotgun and the shield, but you're dividing and distributing. So for my T10, I will always have 90% T10s and 10% T9s, but that 10% provides a really great defensive bonus to the base. And Delete and I were talking, actually, infantry has taken a significant change in the game. So infantry, as we know, has always been the damage soaker. It's the first troop to die. But there's actually been a significant change in game mechanics to, let's say, 6 months ago. We've been talking about how we've been losing a lot more troops in rallies and solos than we ever used to before. So the percentage of your march is actually changing. It's no longer equalized march. It's no longer, equal infantry, equal rider, equal hunter. The more infantry now, the better. So before, when we talked troop formations and, troop composition 6 months ago, the recommendation was 60% infantry, 20% hunter, 20% rider, and that's in your base. That's just overall troop count. Now it's 80% infantry, 80%. It's skyrocketed. If you look at a march, if you send, so it's a 33% equal across the board if you're sending a march for an attack. Now you're looking at 50% infantry compared to 33%. And not necessarily that exact percentage, but you're actually increasing the amount of infantry you're sending, because the damage taken, you're now amplifying their ability to perform in a march by increasing the amount that you're sending. And so, when Delete was talking about misinformation before, he's absolutely right. The tricky thing with this game is anytime an update is released, it totally disproves anything we ever talked about. So the stream that we did 4 months ago is completely irrelevant. None of the information that we talked about 4 months ago applies today, because all the updates that have been released, the way heroes work, the skills, the troop benefits, Plasma 3 is not as strong as we thought it was going to be. I still have a lot of Plasma 3s that die to a T9, right? So the mechanics have shifted. So when we talk about information, what I think what's really important about this stream and Delete's point is read into the updates and test the crap out of everything. Because the worst thing is when you assume that everything remains the same across all the updates. There has been so much change. I'm not comfortable at soloing as much as I used to. I now almost always rally. I can't trust. I know I'm going to win the solo, but I can't trust that I'm going to have the damage output that I think I'm going to have, and I'm going to lose a lot more than I'm wanting to lose. So the whole game has changed in terms of mechanics, and it's just important that people stay up to date. We look at the new heroes, Ernie, Zach, and Jarrett. Oh my goodness. I've had marches. There's something about Ernie. I'm telling you right now, there's something about him. I had him lead a march, a solo attack. I lost 0 troops, no dead. And this was a PvP attack. You always lose troops in a PvP attack. I lost 0. And this was against a Plasma Star base, 500,000 troops. Ernie was leading the march. I took no losses, only wounded. So there's something about his skill set and the algorithm where, these new gen heroes that we're getting, if I can attack a 500K Plasma base and not have any dead because Ernie's leading my march, you're learning something.
Yeah. It's been crazy. Even like bunkers and facilities and capital coming up with the new update, it's really become this scenario where we're back to formula as far as figuring out what's going to work and not work. I've seen people not institute and put in riders at all, and win and protect, a facility in that regard. And that's wild, because the game used to punish things that weren't equal. Look for the thing that wasn't right, and it would punish that. Now it's just basically like, okay, who's got the most amount of infantry? And that's kind of what's been winning. It's been strange. It's been strange, and it's been a learning process because the game, that's a huge aspect to the game. Bunkers and facilities is basically what you play for. So now when you have to go back and you're like, man, all right, so now we're at 80% infantry. Let's go. How do we figure this out? I guess we have to, where it used to be where, all right, let's put the hunter or let's put the rider or let's, kind of have a different captain. Now it's like, man, maybe I should have Ernie captaining my rally. Maybe I should have an infantry hero, captaining my rally, so it's a big change. So you definitely have to be alert anytime there is an update, because the game has changed tremendously from when we were talking about it back then, when equal was best. Equal's not best anymore. Equal will kind of almost guarantee you a loss in a certain scenario at this point.
I'm gonna ask a question. This is maybe a nubby question because all of this I've heard the 50%, 25-25, right? And I have one of my formations kind of set up with that. And I didn't have anything with the T8 to T7. I did notice that they had the symbols and they did different things. They deal with the other troops differently. So that is good, and I'll probably put that in a little bit more too about kind of including both of them. I don't really have much of a choice in the matter because I still don't have like that many troops to fill up a march, so it just ends up that way. But what I'm wondering is I'm maybe combining two of the discussions we've had now, which is the distribution of the groups, right, in a rally, and how you want to set up your formation, in addition to what we talked about earlier with with trap, about how the leader, they take like the highest hero leader and give those abilities. Is it worth it then in a rally, instead of having everybody do a 50-25-25, for example, let's just say that's optimal, is it better to do, rather than every single person doing a 50-25-25 formation, would it be better to have 50% of the people joining do a focused infantry hero as a leader with full infantry, and then 25% of the people focusing just on hunters and just putting in their hunters, and the other 25 focused on riders and doing their full rider troops? Would that be better than everybody kind of focusing it around and distributing within their own? And maybe that makes it a little bit easier with your talents and stuff as well, so then you can focus on all of your infantry, because they do have the split like you were mentioning. So now you have one person focused completely on all the infantry boosts, and they don't care about all the splits and the progression. They're focused completely on infantry talents. Like, could something like that work out better than everyone distributing? I don't know if you guys have tried that or not, so just curious.
It's definitely something to test. I mean, especially in this game, testing is really, really hard, because it's impossible to make it, perfect. Because everyone's stats are just a little bit different. Everyone's composition's a little bit different. Everyone's hero level's a little bit different. A 79 to an 80 or a 76 to a 70, so on and so forth. The compilation of everyone's unique character is really like a fingerprint. Everyone's basically got a different fingerprint in this game. But that is something to definitely try. Whether it's but your stats don't necessarily carry over. So if you were a rally joiner and you were just putting everything in your like talent tree towards, boosting your rider, I don't think it wouldn't overtake the rally setter. I don't think, because it's not a compilation. It just takes the person that's at the top of the rally. If it was in a facility or a bunker, it would probably be the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, you're right about that. The rally leader, rally captain, their stats are always used. It's even the case where, if I join a building, I don't actually have to be the building leader. If my stats are the best in the building, they're used in terms of a defense. What's important is the heroes they're sending. So, similar to trap, your best heroes, you'll have those extra bonuses and boosts with the hero specifically. But, with your inquiry there, Finn, I think the only downfall for an individual focusing on a particular tier or stem of research is they're then open to attack. So if you're strictly focused, let's say you're the infantry guy in the Alliance, and Big Bad Wolf comes in and attacks your base, unfortunately you're screwed because you're so heavy set on one side. I highly encourage and recommend that every player remains balanced regardless of their role in an alliance. So even if I'm a support player, I still want to remain balanced, in the case that I have to fill in or I have to defend myself or whatever the case may be. But it's an interesting point that you have to try, a rally where, people are sending specific troop types. I think that's a really interesting idea. Another thought, and I see more rally leaders doing it, is if I lead a rally, I can send one troop and have my 3 heroes. My stats apply. So I can fill a 1 million person rally. I'm running it. I have 1 troop. That's all I need because my stats apply to the entire rally. So let's just assume for the sake of the conversation, everyone's a plasma 3. I don't have to send any troops. I just have to send my heroes, and the stats apply to the entire march, right? The only thing that gets taken away from me is my damage, like my individual damage output in the rally. I don't do any damage individually because I don't have any troops, but everybody else still inherits my stats. So, you know, as a rally leader, you could be really cheeky and not lose anything because you send 1 troop and everybody else takes the brunt of the hit. But you can play around with rallies quite a bit, and that's why your point's really interesting, and why I mentioned, you know, a rally leader is really just a stats carrier. You know, the fact that we send troops as a rally leader, you know, more so usually for leading a rally, we have the better troops. But at the end of the day, everyone's inheriting the stats.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the same goes for like reinforcements. You can reinforce someone with 1 troop, you know, set them up as a trap base, and now everyone in their building, in their settlement, becomes your troops. So this way you can really reinforce someone. If they have a lot of troops, you can reinforce someone with 1 troop and really do some damage. Because if someone's lackadaisically reading a report and only saying, oh, they've only got, you know, 450,000 troops in there, you know, we can go ahead and rally this. So 450,001 troops in there, we can go ahead and rally this. And it's me in there and they're not up to my level, they will get crushed. They will absolutely get crushed. And it's a brilliant way to build a trap base if you're looking at state for state, and a great way to not fill your hospital while you're asleep, by far. Because even, you know, it's like if I have a ton of reinforcements, all six of my troops going out to different places, and I have full marches in there and they're repeatedly getting attacked, my hospital gets filled, you know. So the next thing you know, I can start taking losses if I'm not careful. But if I only send 1 troop, you know, you're in better shape.
Just really quick, Finn, so this is from Discord, but I want to bring it to attention here to catch the viewer's attention. Whoever's Discord name is Sammy. Sammy asked, is it me or does there seem to be some misinformation in this stream? Maybe I'm just misunderstanding some of the rally information. So first of all, please ask your question, because you didn't ask the question, so I don't know what you're not understanding. But be careful when you say there's misinformation, but you're also saying you're misunderstanding. Those are 2 completely different definitions. If you're misunderstanding something, that does not mean we're misinforming you. That just means you're not being clear on what we're saying. So please ask your question in the live chat and we will answer it for you.
There you go. And we had a point brought up by, and let me shout out DPK Deadpool Kyle, who's in 359 with us. He said, since I'm invisible to Tips and Furry, I hope you fine gentlemen are having a great week. Hopefully one day I can be on the panel with you guys. I am only on the panel because MCVenom is out, so that's pretty much what it is. And then whenever she needs somebody to help her with technical stuff, so I'm not a regular. I'm not like those guys. So even I have a temporary card to join. I'm just throwing that out there. But there was a point brought up by Savagery, and again, I'm not familiar enough with this, so I'll ask you guys, because Savagery is saying, but if you only send 1 type of troops, like CC, even if you win the rally and a third of the troops are out, you'll be auto-kicked out in that rally even if you win. So is that accurate?
It won't auto-kick you because you're, like you said, you're only losing 33%, you know, and that's in a loss rally, you know. So if you're winning, it will be less, you know. It'll never, I've never seen a rally hit me and I win and it'll take me down to 0 troops. I've never seen that, unless I've only seen it take percentages off. I've never seen it just kind of zero me out and all of a sudden I'm not in the building anymore. If anything, you know, usually when I'm in a building or I'm in Capitol or something, you know, we'll see like multiple rallies come at us in a row. Your troop formation will change. your infantry will get decimated, and then you have to refill your infantry. So then after 7 rallies, if people aren't on top of it, what'll happen is they'll just have riders and hunters in there, and there'll be no infantry left. So you have to kind of refill to make sure that you're kind of resupplying yourself to keep you at the levels that you want to be at after a rally lands. But
what
I've never
if you
seen
only
it.
went in with 1 troop though? Because that was the thing Daedric was talking about, right? About going in with the rally leaders and just giving the troops, but then just going in with 1. If that 1 dies, then you get kicked out, right? But I guess you still gave the effect for the rally, so while you may not get the benefits, you've still helped out the rally, right? Is that the general idea there?
Yeah. I mean, typically, I've never sent 1 troop out of
I'm assuming
bunker.
Daedric hasn't either. I think it was pretty much being hypothetical, right? Daedric, have you ever sent 1 troop?
No.
Okay.
No, it was. You're absolutely right. It was hypothetical.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Like, if you have multiple bunkers and facilities going on, I'll go ahead and send a march out to another facility, so this way my stats kind of are in multiple places. Just so I don't necessarily have to actively be there, and I don't have to necessarily refill, but my stats will basically take over because you can do that at bunker facility. With a capital, you can only be in 1 active area. Reservoir raid, same thing. Where in Reservoir Raid, it's like the most powerful player should kind of basically send troops to multiple spots. So this way your stats are present in multiple areas. That's kind of the way that, that's been the strongest strategy. It's really who's going to play, who's going to have the most, who's basically got the strongest character and who can kind of wield the most in that regard. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right. So let me go ahead and see really quick. Bean is like, does anybody else want to just go ahead and click Finn's hero search icon? I'm not clicking it because I'm trying to save maps. I still have 2 dailies here, so I'll do one of them here and then I'll do the other. But I'm trying to save up my maps again. So that's why I'm not using them. So this icon remains in my base pretty much forever. I got rid of it with this latest event, and then it just popped right back up. Because as soon as that wave was over, I was done. So yeah.
Yeah. There's a map portion of the event that's running right now, actually. Final day?
In 125, no. Right? In 125.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 125.
Yep. All right. So I think we got the questions done for the first part here. Now, what I'm going to do, Bean, I keep trying to click it. Okay, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna move out from inside my base. There you go. We're gonna move outside. We're just gonna look at the settlement because apparently I have a sun on mine. There we go. Someone put a sun on mine, and I'm the king noob. There we go. I am the king noob. There you go.
Where?
And it says tap for details. I don't think there's any details. So Vanagon, what is this for? I'm just very confused. It's like, what is this for? Okay, so all right. So we're gonna go ahead and jump to the next topic here. And the next one is something that over the past few weeks have seen multiple changes. And we talked a little bit about this in the context of the most efficient one, and I'm sorry, Bean, I have to go back into my base here. It is the march formations. Now, they've changed this back and forth quite a bit. I don't know how many iterations there were before I started, but since I've started, there have been 4 iterations, right? 2 of them were basically the same, but they added that little captain toggle after the last change. I think I still prefer the original versus any of the other ones, although I do like this one. I think this one isn't too far of a step back from the original. It is considerably better than the ones that were just before this, because I found that one still very clunky. But there's still issues I'm finding with these formations. Daedric, I'll let you start. What do you think about the new march formation screens and the changes that they're doing? And if you wanted to make any additional changes or updates to this, because I think you like this new one more so than the original one, what additional things would you want to add to this screen?
So I'm absolutely in love with the new update. It's by far my favorite, and I had nearly no complaints about it when it came out. I'm like just such a fan. I think the biggest thing for me was the way the menu's formatted. I really like what they did with the heroes. I think that's just a really cool graphic inclusion that they did with all the heroes, and you can even rotate them too. There's a button where you can flip them around. You get to choose your captain right there on the screen. It's really easy using the dial again. You'll notice that you have 1, 2, and 3 at the top for your march setups. I find that those are much more improved. We got past the issue where when you click from one to the other, it auto saves your previous one. It doesn't do that anymore. So now you actually have to hit save in order for it to save. It doesn't do any auto saving for you. One addition I'd like to see is for them to actually do percentages rather than numbers. So we've talked about this before. Actually, Delete has been a huge advocate for that particular piece. Normally you want to know the number, the actual number that's going in. Keep that part, but give players the option to do a percentage instead. Because when you do the percentage, you're not playing around with the dial to adjust the amount of troops you're sending, and you can really, really quickly adjust. The benefit I do like is when you reset your march and apply your heroes, the game will auto set an equal march for you. So it will automatically do 33%, 33%, 33%. But again, it would be nice to see a dial added for percentage. I would like to see additional custom presets. So they have 3. Most players who are at a certain level have 6 marches. So I would actually like them to do 6 presets for 6 marches. You should have a preset for the amount of marches you actually have in your base. Because if I want to send a gathering group, I have a certain preset custom march to go farm. I have a certain preset march to do a rally. I have a certain preset march to do trap and capital clash and whatever. So having more presets will open the doors for players to save time when sending troops, and cut down on screwing around with the menu. When we start trap, I don't like saving a preset for trap because all my presets are for PvP, and I don't like going back and forth. It takes me an extra 20 seconds just to get my march going for trap. Well, by then people have already launched their rallies. So just those little fine details. But again, I'm a huge fan of this update for the marches.
Delete, how about you?
Yeah, I completely and wholeheartedly agree with Daedric. This has been a much better system. They brought back the sliding scales, so if you want to do that, the percentages would be awesome. You get a lot of people that are like, well, but then I wouldn't be able to do 25,000 if I wanted to. I'd have to click the percentages. I think to just allow it to do both, where you can have the sliding scale and then you can just kind of click or, add a button on there to kind of make that happen. But yeah, I love how you can kind of see your rally or your troop power on the top right. You can see the total troops. So this way you can play around with the toggle to see what's going to maximize your number for that individual BP, right there, because you used to have to kind of set a rally to see that, and that's no longer the case. I also like when you click the little eye that's right next to how many troops you have. It breaks down exactly, what the benefits of everything there. So you can see, oh, wow, I'm getting settlement troop attack. Which one makes more sense doing it this way, or even just a gathering bonus. So this way, if you're ever, just kind of wondering what's going to go ahead and kind of make it, exactly what's going to go ahead and make it be different, for me, and what's going to be the difference maker for the resource gathering portions of events. That's huge. And then you can just basically see all your stats, really maximize your formations. I think like Daedric said, I have the opportunity to have 6 marches. I would love to have 6 presets, because for the most part, those aren't really going to change. And the timing and just making people kind of put the time in to kind of put those in is just tremendous. and it basically keep you on task, because when things get hectic in this game, you want to be quick, and you can't be quick, with the old setups. And this allows you to be quick.
I'll say that I know you guys have 6 marches and you guys have a lot farther along, but even where I am, where I only have 4 marches, I can see a huge value to having more formations as a preset, because one, I know I'm maybe an oddball in this one, but I am always gathering, right? I always have my gathering, and so I want a formation set up for food, for wood, for metal, and for gas, and you have the different heroes that are doing there. So I would love to have a formation just straight up set for that. The other part here that's a little, I wish there was an easy way to toggle between the captains on the screen.
Yeah.
It lists it here, but the weird thing is, so when you go in here to modify it, if you remove Sarge first, everything removes it, right? So you have to remove one of the later ones, otherwise all of your troops reset. So that's a little bit of an annoying feature with these. I mean, it's a little thing. I've adjusted to it, and it's, again, much better than the previous one, so I don't mind it as much. But it's one of those where if there was a way to easily switch the captain, which is one of the things I'll say that I did like about the previous version, the updated version from kind of the broken one, you just click on which one you want the captain and you're good. Like, it would be really nice if they had like a grayed out captain button underneath like the other 2 heroes, and you can just click on it and it switches them into the captain position. So
yeah,
and
that would be nice. And you said you could like switching all of your presets, where I only want 8,000 of this, 4,000, and then you click captain. Yep. That all goes away.
Yep. And then, I mean, besides like the 4 gathering, right, there's also the if I'm doing trap, right, at least for us, I've been setting and I've been just joining, right? So it would be nice to be able to have 2 of those when I'm actually going out to do any PvP attack. That's a different one entirely than the other 2. If I'm doing infecteds and I'm throwing in Travis, where normally I might be putting in Maddie, so I would want one where so I mean, a lot of these things are convenience. I understand that there's easy ways to go about it and switch it. It's not the biggest deal, but I can see a value in a lot more formations. And I think it's just the ease of everything in the game, right? It's not changing too much. It just saves the amount of time that you have to click, which I think is a nice thing. And to that point, on this March formation page right here, they don't have a clear. They have it when you actually do it, when you go into an actual, like, if you try to set a march, like, manually, but the formation one does not have a clear. So I think if they added a clear button, like a reset one, that would also be really nice on this one. So those are just some of the little things, at least I can see kind of a difference between this one and then when you actually go do an attack. And I'm like, it'd be nice to have those kind of little things here to help. So.
Oh, someone actually did bring up a point. Where was it? I forget where it was, but they were like, because basically once you send a march out and that hero is on your wall for defense, it doesn't alert you that hero is on your wall, and you could be like hurting yourself, or it should kind of allow you to set a hierarchy for when you send your hero that's out on a march that's on your wall, that you can pick your next one up, or else it'll just auto pick it.
Yep.
So I thought that was an interesting thing. If you're under that much attack, you probably should have a shield on anyway. But well, I mean, while we're talking about it,
I want to ask a question about the barricade here, because maybe this is just me, and I don't know if this was a change or this is always the way it is. When I've had my heroes in their base and I go to the settlement, I cannot for the life of me change this to a different hero. Like,
really?
Yeah, hold on. Let me bring back my troops, because they're all, of course, they're my troops, so they're gathering. So let me bring back some of the heroes. But I haven't found a way for me to switch out the bring them all back here. That's an hour left, whatever. I'm going to leave some half nodes. I know it's going to piss off people. I always farm off my half nodes, by the way, just so you know. I finish them off even if they only have like 80,000 left of lumber. I'll finish it off. I know what I do.
That's big.
Yes.
That's big. So many people, especially later on, when everyone's in a congested area, it's a huge thing when people just take and leave like 250,000 reserves in a farm that had 13 million, because it doesn't repopulate as fast.
Yep. So yeah, I do clear it out. But hold on, now that I have some troops back, let me go to my barricade and see if it's giving me this issue, because So if we go here, and let me see if I do this. Okay, so now I have more heroes. Like it doesn't let me replace it with anything besides another hero, like of that same type. So I am stuck because Sarge is my best one. He's there. I can't put Maddie in the lead on my wall. Like it's stuck at Sarge. I have to have the shooty one there.
It doesn't work that way where like because it'll take all the benefits. You're like basically it'll take all of your defensive benefits of those troops at the same time when you're getting attacked. It's not like one is more important than anyone else. It takes all three.
Okay, because it's weird because when you go in, when it's empty and you have no hero, it asks you who you want as your leader on the wall. So I can send them all out and show you because it literally says, who do you want as your leader? And that's what became the most confusing part of this entire thing. Let me just send out just for random things here just to get rid of the troops. And then I'll show you here. But in the meantime, I think Sammy M was saying, Daedric M was saying that Sammy had put the question in Discord. I don't know if you saw it or not.
Yeah, it's really long, so I'm just responding to it in chat.
Okay. I mean, do you want to bring it up here? I don't know if it's something that you want to talk about, but
it's in Sticky's main Discord, so I'm just answering the
Gotcha.
stuff right now. It's a long convo, so
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me see if there's any questions about the march formation here as I'm trying to not intel. I don't want intel. I want the searches. Okay, hold on. I'm just doing random ones now. I'll have to pull all of these guys back because they're not going into the right places at all. But it is what it is. Let me see if I can. Oh, I'm forgetting to equalize, aren't I? Hope they didn't. Okay, good. Let me equalize these last two just to make sure I have enough to get rid of all of my troops. Okay. And there we go. And send these guys. Okay, so if I go into my settlement, and I go into my barricade. So it calls the first one your squad leader. And then the other two just say assign a hero. So I figured the first one makes an impact, right? And if I had a choice, I would probably want Maddie as my leader instead of Sarge if it's something PvP oriented. But it sticks Sarge in there because he's my highest hero. Because I leveled him up mainly because of Trap. So and that's why I wasn't sure. So you're saying that it doesn't really matter. You just have one of each of them, and they just provide the benefits all around to their troops.
Yeah, at least that's the way that I've understood it. I feel like that's the case, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, there you go. See, I'm bringing up all kinds of issues. It's great. I always ask the weirdest questions in our chat. It makes me happy. Just finding random things all over the place. Okay. So let me see if there's any. Okay. So DPK asks a question. Daedric, I'll give this one to you. Question is, and he says a noob question again. How did you get 3 or 4 marches?
Yeah, so you gain marches by increasing your level. As your VIP status goes up, you unlock stuff. So then if you go to your VIP box for your levels, it's actually really, really easy. Just read it. It tells you exactly what you get in each one. So, you have the ability to see what you unlock. You get some stat bonuses. You get some march increase. I think at one point you get an extra builder. You can buy a builder, right? There's just some really great buffs that come with it. So if you spend money, you do get VIP points. You can also buy VIP points with biocaps. So there's really a few ways to increase your VIP level. VIP level and chief level are two of the most important bonuses for spenders. And I mean that for free to play as well. But in all honesty, if you're wanting to get a really significant chief or VIP level, you're going to have to spend, unless you've saved up biocaps from 6 months and not used any, then good for you. But they'll add some really significant bonuses. You get a lot of talent points. You get a lot of, benefits from the VIP. And you can actually purchase bonus crates too. You'll notice, Finn, you have little bonus crates you can buy when you unlock a VIP level.
Yep.
You can get Ray and Rolex as an example from those crates.
Lucky.
Yeah, lucky. So some good stuff there. We've talked about them hopefully increasing the capacity for chief level and VIP level to go up. Because for players who have maxed out or have spent a lot, I've been sitting at VIP 12 for 6 months. So, I've definitely gained enough VIP points to at least go up another 2-3 levels. And that's when you look at it, especially for chief, we're talking an extra 30-40 talent points.
Yeah.
So, that's an additional 30% increase to certain stats with those additional talent points. So, there's a thought process with it is, we talk about not wanting to create too much of a gap between spenders and free to play. There already is a gap now. People have asked, are they going to add more chief gear? Well, I can tell you right now, if you go any higher than legendary chief gear, like you're going to completely ruin the whole concept of people being able to be competitive. There's talk right now, they have Plasma 4 and 5 under development. So that's not going to be released for, at least another 3-4 months. At the same time, it's, how big of a gap are you creating, right?
Yep.
It's for a mediocre spender. I have people right now just getting the Plasma 1, and Plasma's been out for 3 months?
Yeah.
Right. So, if somebody's a Plasma 5, and yeah, you're going to have a lot of Plasma 5s, but when you're looking at individual states, you're gonna have one person monopolize, just based off of what you're offering. Because if you release chief gear above legendary, guarantee you someone's going to buy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're going to drop that. It costs, what was it? I think with promotions it was $8,000.
Ooh.
$8,000 to buy max chief gear with promotions. So if you're talking above chief gear with promotions, you're looking at double that, if not triple.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to drop another 16K on gear.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Well, it depends who you are, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I know I've spent a lot, but I'm not putting another 16K into freaking gear. I can tell you that much.
I just don't see the value in that. It'll allow people to just it would make the game so not fun. If you're in a state where someone's just completely maxed out, you probably know the pain of just trying to have to contend with that, because it just, it basically makes it where it's just like, I think I'm just going to restart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just restarting another state, and then you go to another state and the game's completely changed, and you're like, wow, now I don't even know. And I'm actually seeing a turn of the tide where, the new version of the game was some people love it and some people don't like it. It's a completely different game. Like we actually had a person that joined from another state, an early state, come to the new state and was like, the gameplay is completely different, and it's not, it's not what they enjoy about the game. So the transition there is going to be a tricky one. Yeah. It's going to be a tricky one.
But I think to your question, DPK, I think Daedric gave you the, depending on your perspective, either the easiest or the hardest march to get, which is the VIP 8, right? VIP 8 gives you the march formation. So if you're spending, you're going to get that one easily right at the beginning, and you're going to unlock that march slot. All the other ones are through the development, and we were talking about this earlier, right? With the research, the recommended is usually the battle and the economics. So if you're not paying attention to the development and you're just doing the recommended, you're going to miss out on what I think is the best part of the research, which is the development, because it speeds up research, it speeds up the construction. It's the one that gives you the extra march slots with the leadership ones, and there's 4 of them in total, so you get those, and I haven't unlocked the 4th one yet. I'm getting close. I think it's 23 in order to do it, and I just got HQ 23 earlier today, so
train, how fast you can heal.
Yep.
There's a lot in development that you actually have to pay attention to. It's actually the best thing, in the beginning to go ahead and like really speed through, because it'll save you so much in the long run.
Yep.
Any other.
Yep. So this is like the first, like every time I get to a level, I usually focus on the development one first and try to max it out for whatever the research thing is, and then I focus on battle, and then I focus on the economics. So so if you're wondering where the marches are, it's all in development, and if you're just doing the recommended, you're not going to hit these. So make sure that you are focusing on the development tree so you're not falling behind, because again, it'll keep your construction slower, it'll keep your research slower, and these things, especially when you start getting to, and I'm still much less than these guys, but even when I'm now at like 3 days and 4 days for some of these research, I mean, these things help to reduce that time in order to continue your build. Otherwise your base is stagnant. I mean, they're at like 60 days and stuff right now for some of your stuff. I mean, it's massive. So it's a whole bunch of different things. But for your question, it's the development track is where you need to make sure you go. Because I don't think you're spending it, just knowing DPK, I don't think he's spending enough to get VIP 8 right now. But that's your ultimate slot. That'll be your 6th slot, right? It'll be 5 through development, and then your 6th one would be your VIP 8. So
yeah.
Okay. Let me see if there's any other questions before we move topics here. Okay, so Jeremy123 has a question, and Delete, I'll give you this one. The question is, does anyone know what critical damage actually is?
I've taken guesses. It's just a chance to basically do a ginormous amount of boosted. So basically, like you have a regular attack damage, and then you basically have like a kill shot for certain heroes, and that kill shot is basically like you'll see it with Zoe in Explorer missions, where she'll fire that one arrow that'll completely decimate like a whole row of infected. That's basically like that critical chance. Now, when you look through battle reports, it'll show you, like when you're watching or you're reading, like, oh, Ernie saved this amount of troops and killed this amount of troops. I believe that's where the critical, when that number spikes, is where the critical comes in. But I don't know enough about it because I haven't tested it. It's always like, wow, when it happens, it's great. But when it doesn't, it's kind of like, meh. Because the chances aren't really, I think most of the time it's like 25%, and it doesn't mean that if you attack 4 times, you're going to get it once. It's 25% every time. So keep that in mind.
Okay. All right. Let's go to another topic here. We've talked about a lot of these. I'm going through the list that we kind of came up in our chat, and I think we managed to talk about almost all of these within all of the other topics. Is there anything we missed? No, we talked about rallies, right? We talked about all the formations. We talked about talents and buffs. We talked about training. Was that Delete?
We talked about like attack versus lethality, and what, or not necessarily what it means, but how it affects your player.
Yep. So we'll do this now, because I think we talked through. I mean, Daedric, was there anything else you wanted to bring up? I think we covered everything that we had listed, right?
Yeah, I'll just make a quick blanket statement before we go into the topic Delete was just mentioning. Just thank you to Sammy. Really great conversation in Discord. I think the majority of the people who watch the stream are in the Stickies Discord anyway. But just Sammy's really questioning and has some deep thinking into a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, and is questioning the validity and legitimacy of some of the points. And what I will say is, Scorn mentioned this a while back. We are always happy to be proven wrong. I'm more than happy to redact statements, live stream, and say I was wrong. I know Delete would feel the same way. But keep doing that, right? Like, keep asking questions. That's the whole point of the questions and us having these discussions. One thing I mentioned to Sammy, and I think Sammy really understands, is this game lacks mechanics consistency. So you can test something and then it's completely invalid 2 weeks from when you tested it, because the updates that they put through, the way the algorithms are calculated, there's just so many variables to the game that there's not a lot that you can put slap a 100% fact stamp on. We are trying new things all the time. And, I think a lot of what we say sometimes does come across as this is the way it is. And I apologize if it comes across that way. Delete and I have just been around the game a long time, but we do appreciate people, voicing their perspective and what they've tested and what they've found. So Sammy, I appreciate that. But again, blanket statement to everybody that, the conversation is great. And the whole intention here is to, open up the can of worms and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Thinking and completely, if there's something that we're not right on, I want to hear it. I want you to kind of explode chat and just be like, hey, this is the deal. And do it respectfully, because, everything that we kind of do here is done to kind of help, the community, whether it's beat me or help me, by far. It's not necessarily to kind of, control the dynamic and be like the foremost authority on being correct. These experiences come from experiences that I have had in game. I mean, and there are still times that I reach out to Daedric, to other players, to go ahead and figure out, what's going on, because to make head or tails when something changes, and the changes have been drastic, to make it make sense, and advance the critical thinking in the game of all the players is something that really kind of drives my my interest in the game, because it does keep changing. Whether it's for better or for worse, it's still a constant learning process. And learning about something has always been, part of the, it's the destination. It's the travel time and the travel, not the destination. So for sure, if you've got a better way to do things, definitely, bring it up. Hit us up in RSG chat or any chat that you can kind of find us, and let's go.
Yeah. And as I know Delete in particular knows, I'm probing people in 359 like all the time with questions. And me just being my general nature, it's not just getting the answers, it's also going the next step and understanding why that is the answer, right? So they'll give me some of the things I really can't do much about, right? It's like the rally leaders, you want to go with Sarge, I understand, and I put Sarge. And if I'm setting, then I want Maddie. Like those kind of things, I mean, it's just straight up. But then there's a lot of things where it's like, okay, I want to maximize and optimize myself, and I'll ask them questions and I'll get all the data and I'll go through it. And that's the kind of discussions that I like to have. And that's why I love all these guys that are in the community and the people that are in the chat, because it's not about anyone being right or wrong. I think everyone, especially in this game, because this is one of those games, everyone is trying to min-max the best they can, right? And that's most competitive games. You are trying to min-max as optimally as possible. And if things are changing, you want everyone to work together to find those changes. So as long as everyone is having a good time, getting that information across, having a good discussion, that is what we've always wanted. And it's good to see that discussion is happening too, especially, and I've noticed that with this game too. There's a lot of things that are constantly changing. I'm noticing sometimes differences in my own numbers in trap, and it's like everything else is the same, but even sometimes there's like little differences here and there. And why did it drop so much? And it's not just the change in the leader, and it's constant changes, and trying to make sure you understand what those changes are, and then obviously how to optimize it afterwards. So yeah, always great to have those kind of discussions. Always appreciate it. All right, so let's go ahead, and now I think we are good enough that MCVenom is asleep. I'm gonna say that she's tired. She is unable. She's not watching anymore. So it's RSG State 69 time. Everybody get those 69s out in chat. Get your questions in chat too. But we are turning on RSG State 69. 69s in chat as we go through our fun questions and whatever serious questions that you guys have. That's right, it's boys night here at RSG State of Survival. And now we're getting ready to kick it off. Let's get some of the fun questions here, because I've been saving these from the beginning. So State 69, of course, lives. Now, don't tell MCVenom any about. Nobody wake MCVenom up. This isn't happening. Okay, so so Delete knows the context behind this. Is first question, Nathan H. Could your people use a good surgeon? We know one. I know, Delete, you were in the stream earlier. For those of you not familiar with the context, I was streaming, yes, left-handed Surgeon Simulator 2. Surgeon Simulator 2 came out, and we played it for the first time, and it's a ridiculously fun game, and it's multiplayer, unlike the original. But Daedric, I don't know if you saw it, but Delete can comment to you from a third-party perspective. Do you think I would have made a good surgeon on the field in State of Survival, Delete? Explain my surgical skills to Daedric, because he didn't see it. So yeah.
He was able to rip an entire leg off with one hand, left-handed. So rip it right off.
It's true.
So his saw work needs a little bit of work, you know, and there was a conveyor belt that kept spitting out arms. That was a bit unnerving. Yeah, it was pretty solid. Syringe work, by far. Just
if you need Pulp Fiction syringe work, I am there for you.
There. Oh man, he's that guy in the war that came in. He's got blood and guts all over his apron. He's like, "Yeah, I've done this before. Your chances are you're going to die from this anyway, but we're going to give it a good old college try."
All right. Next question, Nathan H. Okay, I'll ask Daedric this because I know Delete has seen it all the time. Nathan H wants to know how you would rank my base. So this is my tree base. Okay, there's trees everywhere. I can say, since I started this game, I have never had an issue with the prosperity requirements in order to upgrade any of my buildings. Because everybody in my base is always happy. They're always happy because the trees are there. This is retreat. This is a retreat from the zombie stuff outside. Like, you come in here, you're in a home away from home. So Daedric, how would you rate my base?
You know what? It's a 50 out of 10.
Yeah.
I will.
All about.
You know what? There's one key thing you're missing.
What am I missing?
A cheese stand, brother.
Oh, I know. I'm aware. There's
where's the cheese stand?
No, the cheese stand, because M is lactose intolerant, I am now working on the cheese stand with Foxy, but there is a mess hall that is going to be worked on. So just as a reference, there is a mess hall suggestion that I am working on. So that may be here soon. Just saying.
Speaking of which, things that have kind of like showed up and disappeared, achievements is gone. It is off the game.
Achievements?
That's upsetting.
What is achievement?
Now,
I feel like I don't know what these are. Did I even see them?
No, we never saw them. It was just something that like was a button that was just inactive, like coming soon, but then never had acted with the movie reel thing, so you can watch the cinematics, I guess. But I don't even think that's active yet. But yeah, the achievements thing, which I thought was going to be pretty cool. You're like, wow, you've won capital, or you've won whatever, or you've survived so many attacks in a row, or something along those lines is completely gone.
Yep.
So that was kind of I had some hopes for that.
Achievements. No, not achievements, furry. They're not achievements. Okay.
I'm going to be optimistic. And even though they removed it, I think they might have done that because the menu's been up for so long and they haven't done anything with it. I'm going to be optimistic and hope that they took it down, but are still going to do something with it.
I like that. I always like to stay on the positive side. I always like to stay on the positive side for sure. And I think, it would be cool. It would be cool. Maybe it's a big grand unveil. Because I think there is value. And almost every other game that I've played has an achievements thing. Whether it's just, random, like, here's 20 caps or something along those lines or whatever. It's still something to shoot forward to and provide guidance for people in game.
Yep.
Because that's probably the biggest complaint I hear is what do I do now? What do I do now? You know, and so many people are just like, I just kind of play for events, you know, and it's like, luckily events are constant in this game and they overlap all over the place. But yeah.
All right. And we got a $5 donation in Super Chat by Titsa Furry, and she said, "Happy Friday to everyone but DPK." So DPK and Furry are having a spat in chat right now. They're having a little bit of a spat.
Don't cross Fury.
Mm-mm.
That is a bullseye you do not want on your back or your front.
Delete. Trust me, it's the most fun thing to do. I love pushing her buttons.
Oh.
You get such an invigorating feeling by, you know, letting the inner fury come out of the furry. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you know, in DPK's base, I guarantee you in his base, Fury's running his cheese stand. You know, that's just how it goes.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it.
The views of Daedric do not necessarily represent the views of Finity. Furry, please do not kill Finity over the responses by Daedric.
Yeah, she's R5 now, so she can just drop anyone's tags, attack them, and just kind of invite you back. Or not.
I have to bring the Burning Fin. This is MCVenom's base. She has the Burning Fin in her base. So yeah, that's I'm pretty sure that's how she's picturing me right now if she sees the end of the stream. So yeah. Okay. Next question, Nathan H. How long would a sheep survive in the apocalypse? It depends how quickly it can get into one of our bases. Yeah. I think we can protect it from the other zombies. Now, from other people, maybe not, but I think we can protect the sheep and throw it in the bunker.
Wool's good in winter. That's for sure.
That's true. Yep. Yeah, I think a sheep could survive. No, Durgan, the sheep would not have a bad time. No, that is not the correct response. Okay, next question from Nathan H. If Finn and Ranger were together in an underground bunker alone during the apocalypse, what would happen? That is very, very simple. That is extremely simple. Finn does not have survival skills. Ranger has survival skills. Ranger would probably at some point wait for Finn to die and then eat Finn because he has those survival skills, and Finn would be dead, and eventually Ranger would find a way to survive. So that is the easiest answer. That's like the easiest question ever. Like, that's not really barely a question, Nathan H. Seriously.
I just imagine like a videotape of like the Odd Couple between, you know, like you would be keeping everything in order and like, no, we've got tomato cans over here. Why do you keep putting the potatoes where the tomatoes? And he's just sitting in his old chair, and you're just kind of like putting everything back in order. I feel like the Odd
would be what it is. Yes, Ranger's just conserving his strength, and I'm over here organizing food that I'm not probably even going to eat and die. Yeah, that's about right.
Totally be like, listen, I cooked these tomatoes 2 hours ago, and you're not back yet. I don't understand.
All right, next question from Furry. She says, why didn't you include Durgan in this stream for his extensive knowledge of wood handling? I don't think our stream could handle it. I don't think our stream could handle that much wood on the stream. Just throwing that out there. Yeah.
He's carrying a lot of wood, that Durgan.
Mm-hmm.
Carrying a lot of wood.
He is. We have another question from MEB, and her question is, what is Finn's favorite game? If you're talking about all-time favorite game, it's an easy one. If you're talking about my current favorite, like things that I'm actively playing like frequently, it's different. So all-time favorite game, extremely simple. Super Nintendo, Super Mario RPG. My favorite game of all time, by far. That is my favorite game. But if you're talking about current games that I'm playing, because consoles, I still have them, but I don't play them as much as I used to. If you're talking about like the current stuff that I play, I would say when I have the time, my favorite game to play is the I believe it's, I might mispronounce the name, but you guys will know what I'm talking about. The Ultimate Goose Game, where you are a goose that just runs around and wreaks havoc on just random people in the neighborhood. Like, you just steal their stuff and throw it in a pool, and then you grab their hat, and then you take it. Oh my god, that game is so much fun. I love the Goose Game. The Goose Game is probably my favorite game right now.
That sounds like something Fury would do after too much wine. Like, can you imagine her dressed up in a sheep costume, running into people's backyards, chucking their frickin' barbecues into the pool and screaming, "I'm a sheep, I'm badass."
Finn, for the life of me, I have no idea what the Goose Game is, and how is the last game I thought you were going to say.
Oh my god, I have to, okay, so at some point, I have to play the Goose Game for you guys. Oh my god, I have to play the Goose Game.
I need that. I think in my life. I just imagine, like, like Family Guy and the Big Chicken just kind of rolling around. That's what I imagine when I'm thinking the Goose Game, but that's just me.
Oh god, that's so awful.
Pikachu.
Oh god. Oh my god. All right. Next question from Furry. When is Ranger Danger going to give in and join SOS? I don't know. If I was to guess, I think Ranger would join, and then he would probably have to stop because the game would get too time consuming with how competitive he gets. So yeah. Okay. I think that's a good ending point because I'm not... Colossus is asking if we have any gift codes. No, there are no gift codes tonight. They should be back next week when MCVenom is here. So this is more of just kind of a general discussion, but I hope you guys had fun here, even without said gift codes. But yeah, so last thing here, let me... Oh, did Pikachu go? I was going to make Pikachu full screen. Did Pikachu go? Is Daedra coming back with Pikachu?
I have, yeah.
Oh, I was just about to make it full screen as we were leaving. We could end with Pikachu. Okay, well, you guys saw Pikachu. There you go. You saw Pikachu. Okay.
Here, hold on. You get another cat. I've got lots of cats to choose from.
Okay, I'll bring a different cat to full screen as we start to wrap up the stream here.
This may be the first 3-cat stream.
Is it?
That's a gift code right there.
Wow. Is it? Wow. That would be pretty interesting. Okay. There we go. Okay. So everyone look at the kitty because you guys have mentioned it a few times in the chat. I've seen it. There's a little bit of sad news. So we do have some sad news. The dancing kitty is going to distract you from it. I figured I'll just mention it here because you guys typed it in there. Chadwick Boseman, the actor that played Black Panther, unfortunately passed away of cancer. So people are putting that in chat right now. I did not know that. I'm assuming it's true because so many people have put it. I haven't looked it up myself, but that is sad. That is sad that and I'm checking right now just to make sure, but yeah. Yep, he died at 43.
Wow.
He dies of cancer at 43. So that is sad. But there is a kitty on the screen. See, look at the kitty. The kitty's going to distract you from the sad news. So everyone, look at the kitty. Just be distracted by said kitty.
You want to see some serious kitty chonk? Yeah.
Oh my god. All right. And on that note, we are going to end the stream here. We are going to have a voice chat. So you guys can head into the RSG Discord. We'll be having a voice chat for a little bit. I have an early day tomorrow, so I'm only going to be there for a little while. Dali, are you able to hang out for a little bit, though?
Yeah, I can hang out for a little bit.
Okay. So we'll be in there for a little while, at least. But we'll be down in the State of Survival voice chat in our RSG Discord. So if you guys aren't, it's in the description of the video. But with that, as a reminder of what we started off with, I think we did okay. Guys, I'm going to play MCVenom's message that started off the stream to end this as well. So here we go.
Hello, survivors. I'm Team MCVenom with Reality Skewed Gamers coming to you from Sevierville, Tennessee. We're on vacation right now. We just got back into the hotel room from a full day at Dollywood. was a lot of fun, but I am drenched with sweat. It's so hot and humid here. Skins are wrecked from the mask we had to wear all day, but there was no lines. We had tons of fun riding the roller coasters. And I just hope that you guys have a great stream tonight for State of Survival Friday night with RSG Finity, Delete, Daedric, and any other guests that we have on. Just don't let him wreck the stream. Don't let him wreck the stream with his 69s and his cheese platters and his trees all over the place. Just watch him. You guys have a great stream. Miss you, and I'll see you next Friday.
We did